What's up, everybody? This is Ashley Arpel Steinbach, host of Locks of Laughs podcast and the queen of the Hopecast Network, if I don't say so myself. I'm here to remind you that Movie Torture drops every Monday, the podcast where friends get together and watch bad movies but tell great stories, or in my case, fabulous and hysterical jokes. I'll see you Monday. Hey everybody, this is Ashley Arpel Steinbach, host of Locks of Laughs, work advice for me, and of course, Movie Torture, aka I am the queen of the Hopecast Network, or if you ask me, the queen bee. I hope you're all enjoying the amazing shows we have here on the Hopecast Network, and if you are, please don't forget to like and subscribe everywhere that you listen to or watch your podcasts.
This is the Hopecast Network, stories and shows you actually want to listen to.
MTD on I Trained Voorhees. The untold story of the horror icons and the man behind the masks, plus why fat comedians rule. Published by the Hopecast Network. Chapter 13. Bike Cop Days. The Tax Collector. The dual life of a bike cop. The dual life of a bike cop, where the thrill of serving justice meets the sudden realization that your patrol vehicle is powered by your own legs. It's not just a job, it's an adventure and a workout rolled into one, complete with spandex shorts, a polyester uniform, and a helmet that could double as a giant sweaty teacup. Believe me when I say, no one takes you seriously when you pull up on a bike. Oh look, it's Officer Spandex, they say, suppressing laughter while pretending to wait for the bus. But in the world of law enforcement, every laugh hides a secret and admiration, or perhaps a downright fear of being ticketed for a mischief not yet committed. My days on the bike were filled with contrast. One moment I was enforcing traffic laws, the next I was slaloming between patchy sidewalk cracks while chasing down a kid on a BMX who just snatched a magazine from the corner store. I can still picture that kid sprinting away, wind whipping through his hair, thinking he's cooler than James Dean. Meanwhile, I, the intrepid bike cop, was puffing like a steam engine, trying to keep up. If only I could have trained him instead of Jason. We might have taken on the youth crime epidemic a more entertaining approach. Imagine Jason with a skateboard. Every patrol ride felt like participating in the Tour de France. But my race was to keep in peace in the suburban streets. I would often think about how dramatic it must look. A trail of rogue cyclists scattering like ants every time my shiny badge hit the sunlight. You'd think I was a superhero on a mission, but really, I was just a guy trying to keep himself from tumbling over while dodging skateboarders and leashed dogs. The irony? There's nothing less frightening than a bike cop. Yet the moment you yank out a notepad to write a ticket, you think I was wielding a medieval sword, ready to exact justice on any poor soul who dared to ride without a helmet. Trust me, the puffed up bravado of carrying a pen does wonders for the self-esteem. Even while the bike seat reminds you that comfort is a foreign concept in this game. Then there were the lovely citizens I'd interact with. You quickly learn that there are two types of people in the neighborhood. The rule followers who nod at you like you're their long-lost hero, and the renegades whose sole mission in life is to make your day a little more interesting. I still remember the time a particularly sporadically grandma approached me as I was taking a break, legs crossed, sipping a lukewarm cup of coffee. "Do you have a license for that bike?" she inquired with the seriousness of a detective. I had to stifle a laugh. Was there a black market for bicycles I hadn't been heard about? My response, which I still cherish, must have confused her. "Yes, ma'am. License number BIKER forever. Pending renewal next week." She raised an eyebrow but ambled off, uninterested in my witty repartee. perhaps saving her energy for an audacious confrontation later. However, amidst the hilarious moments, there was a genuine sense of pride in representing law enforcement on two wheels. I became somewhat of a local celebrity. At every turn, people would shout, "Hey, Officer Spandex," as they prepared to dart away from the sidewalk or assume the innocent pose of someone who definitely wasn't speeding down the block without a helmet. Little did they know, this was my psychological plan to remind them that consequences were always just a pedal away. I had the power, except my power was often relinquished at the nearest fast food joint where I would catch my breath and come to terms with the horror of the food worker eyeing my suspiciously through the drive-through window. No thanks. I'm not in pursuit. Just here for a number two. Ultimately, being a bike cop shaped me into a unique hybrid of lawman and athlete that the streets of my town had never seen before. Every bike ride was a personal triumph over inertia, while simultaneously allowing me to dispense wisdom and hilarity in equal measure. The thrill of training killers was all well and good, but I'd argued that facing down a kid on a sugar high and trying to enforce the helmet laws take a special kind of skill. Wear your shorts with pride, ladies and gentlemen, because every ride is a testament to an indomitable spirit and a very average rider behind the law. So if you ever see a bike cop, throw them a wave, because the one-wheeled chariot of justice is more than just a laugh. It's a lifestyle. Tax collection on two wheels. Tax collection on two wheels sounds like the infomercial for a bizarre new reality show, right? Picture this. I pull up, clad in my bike cop uniform, ready to enforce what I like to call patrolling the errant cycle of an economic responsibility. You'd be surprised how many people seem to overlook the charming little law called pay your taxes. Apparently, when you live in a cul-de-sac blissfully removed from reality, thoughts of tax deadlines float away like dandelions at a picnic. You might wonder how the concept of a bike cop leads itself to tax collecting. I mean, aren't we supposed to be educating the community about safety, not hunting down tax dodgers like a predator in the wild? There I was, supposed to face down knife-wielding assassins, yet somehow I found myself standing over unexpected citizens with the same conviction as a small-town preacher at a church potluck, trying to explain the virtues of tax compliance. I would roll into neighborhoods silently, perhaps hoping for a stealth advantage akin to Batman cruising the streets of Gotham, but instead, I just elicited amused chuckles from the joggers and car owners alike as they watched the bike cop glide by. On a typical afternoon, I'd cycle up to the local coffee shop, heart racing like I'd just inhaled 3 short shots of espresso. But instead of giving out parking tickets to pedestrians luxuriating in their lattes, I was tasked with reminding small businesses about their tax obligations. This often involves standing outside like a human billboard, hoping someone would notice the imminent tax deadline and voluntarily offer me their financial records. And when they didn't, I resorted to threats, vowing that if they didn't comply with the authorities, I would unleash my bike cop charm on them. Spoiler alert, no one took me seriously, not even the local cats. If only I could have snapped a megaphone to my bike. I remember weaving through a particularly rowdy neighborhood once where kids were playing on the streets while parents merged into oblivion with their Pinterest boards and Facebook posts. As I approached one errant homeowner, I made the terrible mistake of asking, "Excuse me, sir, do you happen to have your tax records ready handy?" The homeowner's response, "We don't believe in taxes here, officer." Oh, the sweet thrill of philosophical discourse. My response was immediate. "But, sir, taxes are like a birthday candle on your cake. Sure, no one enjoys it, but it's how you celebrate turning another year older, albeit less spending money." He laughed, but I heard not a peep about moving those records. In the end, I had to cycle away, wishing I had just brought a slice of cake instead. Nonetheless, there were daily victories celebrated like mini Olympics. One sunny afternoon, I discovered a lawn care company refusing to disclose their tax information. I pulled up, ready for action as the sun glinted off my spandex-clad legs. Think of it think of it as the ultimate showdown of paperwork, with a classic mix of charm and desperation. I declared, if you don't show me your receipts, the lawnmower will see some serious consequences. The men stared at me, stunned by the tireless dedication. What can I say? The power of the bike cop awaits no. For all the laughter and misunderstandings, tax collection helped build community bonds. The very act of cycling through neighborhoods forged connections as if each pedal stroke was a link in the chain that could eventually lead to compliance. People recognized me, shared stories, and I became something of a comic relief vehicle in their lives. Perhaps they don't take my authority seriously, but they appreciated the humor in it all, and I began to serve a dual purpose: law enforcement and local comic relief, all from my trusty two-wheeled steed. Tax collection on two wheels might not have been the action packed life I expected when I trained Voorhees, but it came with a fair share of laughs, quirky interactions, and unexpected camaraderie. As I pedaled my way through fiscal responsibility, armed with nothing but my wit and a notepad, I realized that sometimes the road less traveled, as the local cafe on the tax evading lawn service, is indeed a path to enlightenment and joy. Just remember, if you're ever approached by a bike cop, don't take it lightly. You could be the subject of the next round of who pays their taxes and who likes to have fun avoiding them. Now that's the thrill ride worth every pedal stroke. Interaction with the citizens. Interactions with the citizens. What an elastic mix that was. Being a bike cop allowed me to immerse myself in the rhythms of everyday life, right from the front lines where the drama unfolds at a ratio of one ticket to every 10 neighborhood conflicts. Trust me, once you're on the guard, or the bike lane to be more accurate, you're an integral part of the fabric, weaving through a tapestry of human quirks that would challenge even the most seasoned reality show producers. As I rode around, I couldn't help but think of myself as the unwitting star of my ongoing sitcom called Riding with the Rivals. The first interaction I often had was with those perplexed citizens who never quite understood what a bike cop was doing in their neighborhood. "Hey, officer, how's the bike riding treating you?" they'd shout out, as if we were old pals exchanging pleasantries about choices of vacation spots. Sometimes I respond in kind, "Oh, splendid. Caught a donut thief last week. How's your cake baking going?" This would usually lead to a quizzical look followed by light laughter, leaving both parties puzzled about the humorous exchange that had just occurred. I quickly realized that humor was my greatest weapon. It cut straight through the tension like a knife through butter, even though sometimes I felt more like a butter knife cop. Then there was the regulars on my route, the ever-present cast of characters that added flavor to my daily grind. Take Miss Murphy, for instance. Let's call her the overzealous neighborhood watch leader who believed that every inch of her cul-de-sac required surveillance worthy of a CIA operation. She would watch her front window with the intensity of an Olympic swimmer prepared to break records, always eyeing my approach as if I had accidentally pedaled through her vegetable garden rather than on the sidewalk. Once as I rode by, she shouted, "You better be keeping an eye out on the baker's kid. Last week he was doing jumps off the swings. Rode right through a neighbor's yard. No respect." Miss Murphy delivered her warning like a breaking news report. My reply, "Ma'am, that's what I'm here for. Please don't let anyone know he's getting better, or I may lose my job." Then we had the local teenagers, somewhere between hilariously defiant and determinedly respectful. I still remember a chance encounter where a group of teens organized a bike race against me. They didn't see the absurdity of the situation. Experienced cyclists versus the bike cop. It was delightful to witness their eagerness, arms raised in enthralled defiance as I prepared to give them my best Tour de France of pedal power. "Let's go, Officer Spandex," shouted one of the ringleaders. I bicycled away, pushing off as rapidly as I could while shouting back, "2 minutes after I leave, call the authorities if I don't return, okay?" As they cheered, I knew I had become part of the community narrative, an underdog ready to take on the youth revolution. Of course, there were those preferred confrontations over casual chit-chat. One sunny afternoon, I was stopped in my tracks by a fellow cyclist, a burly man wearing a t-shirt proclaiming every day is a good day to ride. "You know," he huffed, with a tone suggesting they had already rehearsed this moment, "bike cops are just a glorified version of mall cops." My entire being erupted internally. Was he questioning my spandex-clad valor or my job description? I turned slowly, raised an eyebrow, and challenged, "But do mall cops save lives while also burning calories?" The man stuttered, clearly conflicted between appreciation and his bold statement before sheepishly cycling off, presumably to declare myself the reigning champion of the civilian world. The sheer variety of interactions solidified my belief that the bicycle was a conduit, a means of breaking down barriers and sparking conversations. An elderly gentleman once overheard my banter with a woman and grimaced at how casual my introduction had become. As I pedaled away, he shouted, "There's too much friendship in your law enforcement." That made me chuckle. It's hard to be intimidating when your primary mode of transportation has spokes and a bell. Ultimately, the interactions I had with citizens became my official training grounds, a means of learning the community quirks and what truly mattered to them. Each day resembled a live performance blending camaraderie, comedy, and a sprinkle of nuanced interactions. From helping lost pets find their owners and soothing heated neighborhood disputes over parking spaces, every moment reminded me that behind the badge, I was just another guy on a bike bringing laughter to an otherwise serious business. And if that means trading ticket zeros for giggle fueled ones, then I'd take the bike ride any day. The perils of riding a bike. The perils of riding a bike. What a wild, two-wheeled roller coaster ride that turned out to be. When I signed up for the gig as a bike cop, I pictured myself gliding gracefully through the streets, a modern-day knight roving the town on my trusty steed, looking dapper in spandex with a badge. What I didn't realize was how perilous the noble pursuit would be, akin to taking on the adversary armed with nothing but a plastic sword in a world of reality show hijinks. Let me just say, my episodes were filled with more humps and bruises than episodes of Survivor. First and foremost, let's address the crushing reality of potholes. In a car, you can hit a pothole and remain relatively unscathed, perhaps a slight jolt, scowl, and maybe the car's alignment thrown off until you make an appointment with your friendly mechanic who always charges you an arm and a leg. But a bike? Hitting a pothole is a catastrophic event. The kind that sends you skyward in a superhero moment as you wave goodbye to your dignity. I'll never forget the time I mistook a mere identification for just that. Identification, only to find myself airborne, wings flapping wildly before I gracefully landed on a neighbor's carefully manicured lawn and startled a group of unexpecting squirrels. They went nuts, and I was the unwitting star of their next episode of Nature Gone Wild. I couldn't help but feel that nature was laughing at my misfortune more than anything else. And then there's the notorious rambunctious dog effect. Every bike cop I know has battled these furry adversaries who seem convicted that the bike uniform is directly related to a postman's. As I pedaled down quiet streets, a dog charged out of nowhere, a flurry of fur and barking energy with one mission in mind: to take down the unusual invader. It's as if they had an eternal alarm system that shouted, "Alert! The man in the bright vest has arrived." My heart raced. Every yappy attack felt like an episode of Cujo, with me in the role of the helpless human nearly caught in a canine net. In that moment, all the training and combating criminals melted away, and I find myself praying, not just for my life, but also for the dog treats and for the owners to control their very furry counterparts. Among the many perils, we must also discuss the unpredictability of the weather. Everyone knows that bicycles and rain do not mix well. It's a universal truth. Picture me zipping through town without a care, soaking up the sun, and suddenly being caught in an unexpected storm that turned the road into a slip and slide. The moment the skies opened up, I became a human pinball, ricocheting as I wobbled left and right, my love for two-wheel freedom quickly morphing into a desperate attempt to stay upright. Honestly, I felt like a contestant on Wipeout, minus the raccoon suit and points for falling gracefully. It took no time before I was practically hydroplaning through puddles, praying the only witnesses were neighborhood cats lounging in the sun rather than any concerned citizens. Let's not forget traffic. Oh, the glorious ballet of vehicles, where I played the part of the overlooked extra. Cars and trucks would zoom past while I, the two-wheeled outlaw, navigated with all the finesse of a toddler learning to walk. I once found myself sandwiched between a minivan and a sports car, the latter seemingly determined to prove its efficacy by speeding ahead of the former. In the fragile moment, I felt like a paper plate caught in the play of a giant hands. My route of choice now had me swerving as if auditioning for the next big action film. Talk about adrenaline. And what about the charming pedestrians? Those quirky individuals who seem blissfully unaware of my presence. One fine Sunday morning, I was blissfully cruising along a path when a lady began to jog in my direction while mindlessly scrolling through her phone. Suddenly, it became an impromptu game of chicken, but I feared I was the one who would end up taking a dive. As I swerved just in time, literally dodging a collision with anyone who might cite me for using poor judgment, I exploded into a fit of laughter. Note to self: distracted person on a path ranks high on the threat level, right above potholes, but below angry dog. In retrospect, the perils of riding a bike haven't just been mere comic relief. They become fundamental lessons about resilience and humility, one tumble at a time. So if you ever notice a bike cop rolling through your neighborhood, spare a thought for the brave souls battling not only petty crimes, but also the potholes, canine foes, and the captivating effects of nature. They may look absurdly heroic, but their stories is often much more perilous than it appears. Just remember, dear reader, the next time you see a bike cop, such encounters encompass much more than a peaceful jaunt. Trust me, it's a wild, wobbly adventure that deserves applause, laughter, and perhaps a few dog treats on the side. Lessons learned from the bike lane. Lessons learned from the... Oh boy, where do I even start? My adventures pedaling through the urban jungle have not only been amusing, but also filled with wisdom that would make even the wise old owl proud, or at least chuckle knowingly. From avoiding potholes to dodging dogs or negotiating everyday lives as a bike cop, there's a sweet blend of laughter and lessons learned on two wheels. As I reflect on these experiences, I can't help but feel I've become somewhat of a cycling sage, imparting nuggets of wisdom to anyone who will listen. First and foremost, one lesson I learned is about balance, both physically and metaphorically. It's easy to think that maintaining equilibrium on a bike is all about keeping your weight distribution and preventing that embarrassing tumble in front of a crowd. But oh, the deeper truths lay hidden beneath those bike tires. Just as I maneuver through everyday obstacles, life teaches us that balance extends way beyond the bike lane. It means finding harmony between work and play, laughter and seriousness, and the pursuit of justice with just the right amount of silliness. I remember one day while trying to catch up with a slow moving but determined squirrel on my route, I wobbled precariously and almost face planted into a garden gnome. In that split second, I learned that maintaining balance in life is just as precarious as mastering the art of riding a bicycle. Don't get too caught up, or you might end up embracing your neighborhood's lawn decorations. Then there's the sheer necessity of adaptability. This unpredictable nature of riding through unforeseen situations, be it an impromptu parade, a flash flood, or a spontaneously adorable puppy chasing after me, demands the ability to pivot on a dime. I like to think my daily bicycle escapades serve as breaking news segments narrated by the inner monologue. And here we see Officer MTD navigating two feisty squirrels having a territorial dispute in the middle of the bike lane. An unpredictable challenge indeed. In those moments, I learned that life is far more linear, and often the best laid plans are abandoned for whimsical detours filled with uncertainties. So whether it's having the weave through a duck family crossing the road or rerouting when met with an unexpected slow jogger, they do exist. Being adaptive has proven to be my most valuable asset. Equally important is the realization that laughter really is the best medicine. My bike rides quickly evolve into an interactive comedy show. Each pedal stroke brought forth with the opportunity for humor and even the most mundane encounters. I find myself chuckling at catcalls from the neighborhood kids trying to outrun me, or at random remarks from folks belly laughing at my colorful ensemble. This report fostered an atmosphere of positivity in the communities I served, where laughter transcended walls and boundaries alike. I picked up on the vibrant synergy of navigating bike lanes. It's about connecting with the folks around me, creating a sense of community, a revealing in the moments that make life enjoyable. After all, if my day consists of spread eagle s- squirting water bottles with spray painted apologies, then I call it a whopping success. Moreover, a bike lane is also a great teacher of resilience. There were days when fatigue felt heavy on my shoulders, days when the relentless wind and me nearly cursing my love for all things two wheeled. But through all the bumps, slips, and yes, even a few minor spills, I learned the art of getting back up. Lately, I've taken the telling kids who giggle at my misfortunes, you know what? Falling is a sign of bravery. Only the daring dreamers get bruises. Who knew that getting back on the saddle could be a metaphor for everyday life? With minor setbacks along the way, the key is knowing how to rise above them, laugh off the silly moments, and keep struggling against those metaphorical headwinds, be they social justice or just another gusty day. Lastly, perhaps the greatest lesson learned is to embrace the present moment and the rush of life, much like the hustle and bustle around a bike lane. Too often we forget to take a moment for ourselves. While navigating those lanes, I realized that the joyful sensory, the smells of fresh baked cookies wafting from the local bakery, or simply the delightful chirps of a sunflower crowned bird could be drowned out if I didn't slow down every once in a while. Riding has taught me to appreciate the little things, the vibrant colors of autumn leaves, the charming antics of kids playing in a park, or even the trials of hasty joggers in neon shorts. Life spins by unless we stop to enjoy the ride, and little moments become the fabric that weaves through our experience. So here I am, an amateur philosopher with spandex shorts and a badge, taking lessons that transcend beyond the bike lane. I discovered that balance, adaptability, laughter, resilience, and embracing the present are not only key to enjoying every ride, but are also crucial to embracing life itself. Only keys to enjoy a riding bike, but are also crucial to embracing life itself. With each pedal, I firmly believe I'm not just patrolling. I'm negotiating the whimsical, delightful, and perplexing world in which we all coexist. Remembering the folks around me, why not experience it all with a little laughter along the way? So come, fellow riders, let's share the joy, take lessons from the bike lane, and perhaps even co-write our own comedic masterpiece of life, one pedal at a time. The Hopecast Network has reached out to MTD for further questioning on the things that have been written about him. His whereabouts are unknown at this time.